Your Majesty at your service. Welcome to Fairyqueen Talks. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of my podcast, Own Your Story. The idea of owning your story is something that occurs in every fairy tale made. In the last few years, the term main character energy has been popularized. So, what is main character energy and its rival term, main character syndrome? Main character energy is used in storytelling and character development to describe the dominant force or personality that drives the main character of a story forward. It refers to the unique qualities, traits, and motivations that define the main character and gives them their unique identity. In many ways, I would view our individual lives as a story, and therefore the idea of viewing ourselves as the main character allows us to take our story forward and towards a happy ending. The dangerous thing with this concept is that it can lead to another popularized term, main character syndrome. According to Kate Rosenblatt, a therapist and senior clinical manager at Talkspace, main character syndrome refers to identifying as the protagonist in your own life story. However, the main character syndrome is not an actual mental health diagnosis, as it only exists in pop culture with the influence of movies. But the term main character always refers to someone who is perceived or is self centered, believes the people around them live to support them, and view themselves as the main character of their life. Kate Rosenblatt and other experts break down 4 red flags that are key that can tell you whether you inadvertently are the main character in a group. So, one, they feel like everything revolves around them and their problems. Two, they think their life is perfect. Three, they're not good at taking criticism. And four, romanticizing hardships. The last point had some interesting commentary as I focus so much on deserving a happy ending on this podcast. On the point of romanticizing hardships, the following is commented. Everyone knows that in every movie, the main character is always faced with an obstacle or hardship that can develop their character until fulfillment is found at the end of the storyline. Well, a happy ending is always there when it comes to movies. However, someone with main character syndrome tends to think that their hardships is something they should romanticize instead of looking for a solution that will eventually indeed develop their character as an individual. They tend to dwell in struggle and daydream about the happy ending. End quote. Tough times come to everyone, and sometimes it can feel daily. However, daydreaming and deserving a happy ending remains a dream and not a reality if you don't seek solutions and work towards getting out of the hardships mentally and physically. Owning your story is more so about appreciating that life has problems and is not perfect. It is about being open to learning from others that may have experienced what you are going through and finding solutions and routes to your happy ending. It's about driving your story forward and not being stuck in a challenging chapter of your life. So, in this episode, I'll be addressing the idea and concept of owning your story. This is your life story. And as your fairy queen, I don't interfere in your life, but want to help guide you to a place where you come to realize and understand what your life story is and what chapter you are in to get to a place where you are owning the next chapters of your life. Your life story is being written and lived every single day. The best place to be in life is knowing that your story has not ended until your last breath. So, part of owning your story, there are 3 parts that are essential in my view. So, one is understanding how your life story started. Two, what chapter you are in. And three, deciding that you will take charge of your story. I will now go through these three parts and delve into it. As I'm talking you through it, reflect on what this may mean to you so that you can go through your journey of understanding and owning your story. So, number one, understand how your life story started. In every fairy tale, we get introduced to the main character and their environment. This environment I speak of is both biological and societal. There's a backstory to everyone. You can go as deep as you want. Just be aware that the deeper you go, remain to stay objective, and how this knowledge about your backstory helps you understand your life better. So, our backstory is firstly tied to our parents. For some of us, this may be an easy task as you may have your biological parents to answer your questions. For others, this may be a bigger task. Understanding who your parents, guardians, or caregivers are in your developmental stages of life is an important part of your story that will help you understand under which circumstances you entered and have been socialized in this world. Sometimes these things are happy and cute tales, and other times you may be faced with some harsh realities and truths. No matter whether your entrance to this world has been, just know that every life is a sign of hope and every life on this earth matters. Outside of your parents, it's always helpful to understand your ancestry and lineage. What are some characteristics, skills, and attributes in your heritage that may come natural to you? These are some things that you can think about. When it comes to your societal environment, the part of the world where you were born, lived in, or cultures and ideologies that you were exposed to in your developmental years are also important because what things has your social environment taught you about morals, values, yourself? No one chooses their nationality, ethnic group, and everything about their birthing circumstances. However, part of understanding how your life story began is about contextualizing your upbringing and understanding how you have been socialized in this place called Earth. When you understand this, you have a clearer understanding about how you fit in this experience called human life and how you're viewed by others. So, number two, what chapter you are in. When you think of a fairy tale or story, there are a number of chapters and sometimes even multiple books. Regardless of that, if you were to write an autobiography, would you know what chapter you are in currently and have been in the past? When deciding what chapter you are in or understanding what chapter you're in, there are so many ways that you can go. You could look at your age, milestones, hardships, relationships, academic performance, career. There are so many ways to define each chapter of your life. Most of the time, when people name their chapters on their autobiographies, they name their chapters after moments that changed the course of their lives. In life, so many things happen, but what changes the course of your story with such huge impact that you can remember it so quickly? Also, what are some moments that you may have blocked out because there may be some chapters in those parts of your life that you've blocked out intentionally or unintentionally? The aim of naming the chapter of your life is to make sense of what course you are in currently. As I alluded at the start of season 4 of this podcast, I'm currently in a chapter of my life that I'm calling recovering. And knowing this gives me comfort as I know that everything I'm doing during this time is a reflection of my progress of recovery from mental illness, which was a chapter of my life as well that I've named. Something that I won't share in this podcast, but it has a name. When we as individuals can put names to the phases of our lives, we tell our brains that everything and every part of our lives is a phase. And with phases, that means that nothing is forever, and especially bad times are not permanent. It is only a temporary situation that we and are overcoming. So, name the chapter you are in your life so you can start owning the next chapters. Which takes me to my third point. Number 3, deciding that you will take charge of your story. Now that you understand how you came to Earth and what chapter you are in your life, you need to be the one deciding what is going to happen next. If you don't decide to take charge of your life, the world and the circumstances you find yourself in will define and decide what happens to your life. I recall when I signed my mortgage papers and it stated the age I would have when I would complete my payments. I took a good look at it. And in my brain, I said, not in my lifetime. I will not be that age when I complete this. In terms of me owning my home, ownership journey is by working towards ownership at a time frame that is shorter and realistic for me and my household, opposed to what I've signed in the initial contract. The same goes for owning and taking charge of your life. Let no one, not the economy, the government, and society at large, decide what your life is worth. Deciding that you will take charge of your story is a proactive way of thinking and living that will move you closer to getting to your happily ever after. You are where you are in life because of your upbringing and your decisions. Where do you see yourself? What does happily ever after look like for you? And what do you need to do in your life to get there? Owning your life story is very much about mapping out your future and taking the necessary steps to get there. It is about taking charge of your happiness and being happy whilst you are living every single day. I encourage you to wake up each day to your life. Don't wake up because you have to go to work, take care of your responsibilities. Wake up because while you are still living, there is hope. And wake up with gratitude that you can experience life and all the amazing things that happen here. And work towards your happily ever after. Wake up to celebrate your life and take advantage of opportunity that life presents to you. Understand your story, know your story, and eventually own your story. At the end of each episode, I address the queendom. Own your story because you deserve to wake up with hope and gratitude that you have made it this far. You can only be the main character of your life when you take charge and own the next chapters of your life. It's all about moving forward and reaching your happily ever after. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of my podcast, Fairyqueen Talks. See you next time.